It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, it's Friday. The weekend's in front of us, and I wanted to do a quick episode here today. And I got a question asked of me regarding Visual Edge. I'm going to answer the question in a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to share this little interview I saw with HP CEO Enrique Lores. I mean, this guy, I tell you, he goes on these interviews and he talks about HP every time there's a problem, like the investors are getting a little bit nervous. He'll talk about the AI and the computers and the game-changing AI and all that crazy stuff. He'll talk about subscriptions. We got to have subscriptions. Of course, he's been yelling that for 4 years now, but we still have no details on any of the subscriptions he sold. We've heard a lot of rumblings in the marketplace how terrible these subscriptions are. Like people are getting them and they don't realize what it is and they got to pay $1 a page and they're mad. I mean, the whole thing's nuts. But ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, we know that HP's revenues are falling off a cliff around their print. Okay? We know their supply business going down. I've showed you all that off their 10Ks and 10Qs. And folks, HP, like the rest in our industry, have to make some adjustments. But some of the folks in our space, they're making adjustments to bring more value to the end users they serve and support. And that more value could be in alternative products and services. In HP's case, look, they want to sell you the razor and make sure you buy their damn blades. And that's the model they were born with, and that's the model they're going to die with. And now they want to make it even harder for you to possibly put a new blade in that razor. And I'm listening to this interview, and I'm thinking to myself, this is absurd. We got lawsuits out there against HP, these big class action lawsuits, pushing out firmware, locking out alternative supplies. People that want to, save the environment, if you will, and they want to use a remanufactured cartridge. Not around us. You're a bad customer, according to Enrique Lores. So let me just play this really quick, and then we'll pick up on the conversation.
Long term, though, do you think that the idea of third-party cartridges at all are a bad idea? There should be no third-party market?
Our view is that we need to make printing as easy as possible, and our long-term objective is to make printing a subscription. This is really what we have been driving. We know it reduces the barriers to print, offers a much more convenient solution for customers,
right,
and especially is more sustainable, because every time a customer uses a cartridge, we take it back, we recycle, we use it again.
But the plaintiffs in this case say that it artificially keeps up the cost of how much it is for these replacement ink printers. And it's always been the theory that you get the razor for cheap, you pay a lot for the razor blade. Same theory with printers and printer ink cartridges.
I think, but this is part of the business model that has been developed over time. We sell our printers, and we make it very clear in the box of the printers that they work for HP supplies. We made it very clear from the beginning. So
do you make money, do you break even, lose money, make money on the hardware?
We lose money on the hardware, we make money on supplies.
How much do you lose typically on a per printer? So if I buy a printer for $300,
we don't disclose the specifics of the business model for competition.
But they're bad customers anyway if they're not using HP. They're bad customers anyway if they're not using HP cartridges.
There you go. They're bad customers if they're not using HP cartridges. Ladies and gentlemen, you're a bad dealer if you're not using HP cartridges. And the question is, when is HP going to determine you're so bad they need to fire you? And thank you for all the Amplify information you gave them. Folks, HP they're the biggest supplier of printers and cartridges in the marketplace, right? We all know that. And we're also watching their numbers fall off a cliff. The desperation of this CEO to gain customers or keep those customers is going to be very, very painful. Very, very painful to the end users as they push out firmware and lock them out. What did he say in this interview? This is absurd. It's right on the box. You got to use our cartridge. Can you imagine buying a car? It's right on the inside of the gas tank. You got to only use Shell oil or Shell gas. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an argument that's forever old. But the remanufacturing industry, the alternative supplies going in OEM printers, is really about 20% of the market. And at the end of the day, I think HP needs to figure out how they're going to reinvent themselves instead of how they're going to continue to figure out how to define bad customers. I mean, let's just keep getting rid of our bad customers and making hell on them. I'm sure they got people over there at HP headquarters. Hey, we need to go ahead and push out firmware. How many bad customers did you find? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what right now. HP's not your friend, in my opinion. So now we got to go to this question regarding Visual Edge IT. So let me change slides here. And I think it was a great question. Somebody reached out and they said, Ray, you know, you've been talking about Visual Edge IT. You've shown all the stuff around Ares Capital and their investment with Visual Edge IT, and it's obviously a financial train wreck disaster. And if that's the case, which it is, because you can see it in real life, you know, it's not made up stuff, why are all those executives still working at that company, the leaders? And I thought, well, that's a fantastic question. And ladies and gentlemen, think about it logically. You have this roll up that basically had a failed business strategy. We're going to buy up all these companies and we're going to convert this to an IT company and it's going to be fantastic. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Loan goes in non-accrual for over a year. BDC lender, what do? They wipe out $47 million in debt at a big write-off, largest write-off they had, right? And then they take another, $40.1 million, convert it to preferred stock. So obviously they're not happy with this investment. So their option is what? To be an IT services company, Ares Capital, bank. They're a finance company. They don't want to be an IT services company or a copier company pretending to be an IT services company. They don't want any part of that. They want people to actually, you know, that they invest in to make it work. And so you think about this absolute disaster financially, and what are they going to do? They're going to go out and research and hire a new president and CEO? I mean, whoever would walk into that mess is going to think to themselves, okay, you're going to pay me a lot of money to clean this crap up. And then they're going to have to get rid of a lot of the people that work there, right? It's a lot of work. And so they're thinking, well, who would do that? No investment community is going to do that. They're going to dump it. And if they're going to dump it, just keep it the way it is. You know, think about a gash, you know, here on your arm, and you got blood spewing out of it. That's kind of Visual Edge, a gash with blood spewing out of it. And you want to wrap it up with a bandage, right? And you're hoping you can wrap it up with a bandage long enough to get it where? Well, maybe go to the hospital. Well, when Visual Edge goes to the hospital, when Ares Capital takes Visual Edge to the hospital, you know what that means? That means they're getting rid of them. They're going to dump them off somewhere else and hope they can take care of them. Stay tuned for something to happen with Visual Edge IT. But I thought it was a great question because it does, you know, it's not logical if this BDC lender has lost all these millions of dollars to keep all these people still in play. I mean, that's a great question. And I believe the answer is because they're going to dump them. And there's no reason to waste time or money bringing in new people to fix the disaster. Just some things to think about over the weekend, my friends. I'll see you all on Monday, and everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo.